Dr. Abuelaish, thank you for being here and welcome to Sarasota, Florida. We're very honored to have the privilege of you having an opportunity not only to talk to the people in Sarasota about your book, but about your mission. Tell us a little bit about yourself, sir, and your background.
Thank you so much. My story and my background, I am a Palestinian refugee who was born and raised in Jabalia refugee camp in the Gaza Strip. With the full meaning of the word refugee, what is the refuge? The refuge means that you lost everything and you are in need of everything. You are deprived of the vital needs, of human needs. In that camp I was born, lived, and raised. And all of my memories, all of my life is in that camp. The good and the bad, and the suffering in the camp, until now I see it. When I go to visit in this world to see the suffering of humanity, as I suffered, the suffering of children as a child, I never tasted my childhood. Children are born to enjoy their life because the children are the beauty of life and they give life. They are not born to suffer and to give suffering to others.
Now, the camps were initiated with the birth of the State of Israel, and the Palestinians were assigned to these camps throughout, on the Gaza Strip. Can you tell us about how many people were in these camps?
In the Gaza Strip alone, people, when they think of Gaza Strip, and it's time for people to look around, to ask, and to learn about what is happening in this world. It's our world. We need to know about it. Not to feel disconnected. Gaza Strip is a small piece of land, 40 kilometers long by 9 wide. Living in that piece of land, 1.7 million people, about 1 million refugees.
1 million.
Living in these camps, deprived of the minimum needs. 50% of them are women and the children below the age of 15.
Now, as a young boy growing up with your family, did you have brothers and sisters?
Of course, I have other five brothers and 3 sisters. The life we lived until now, I see about the stories and the tragedies. Palestinians in these camps, as others in other places where they are suffering, because they are deprived because of the siege and the closure, the unemployment, the poverty, the endemic diseases there. You don't imagine, just last week to hear about a family, a whole family. The parents and 4 children were burned because of lack of electricity and they used candles. It's a disaster because these disasters are man-made. We can avoid. Most of the suffering in this world is avoidable.
That's true. Now, as you grew up and you matured, you came through, obviously your drive and ambition and intelligence led you, to become an educated man. Tell us a little bit about your path through the refugee camp.
My path in the refugee camp was struggling, fighting, just to survive, to run my daily life. You don't know what will happen tomorrow, if you are going to have food or not, to be alive or not. And I realized from early childhood that this suffering is man-made. And the suffering in this world is man-made. It's manufactured. So what can we do to prevent it and to stop it? And that's the hope. That's
your book.
That's the message to the people. The suffering in this world is man-made. And it's time for us to take responsibility of not accepting it and taking action. That's the hope. It's not from God. Even natural disasters, from God, we try to manage and ameliorate. What about human disasters, which are man-made? We need to stand up, to take action, and to say, I will never accept it. To take responsibility, what can I do to make a difference? And that's what I did. I dreamed. I will never accept it. And our parents, who lost everything after 1948 to become refugees, but they realized one thing, and they kept the hope in their children, and that education is the biggest weapon.
And as an educated man, you realize not only the importance of education, but for early childhood education too, for young people to be able to do that. And I want to take a few moments. But as you progressed in your life and you educated yourself through schools and had the opportunity to go on to university?
Yes, and that's why as a child I went to the schools in the camp, which was run by UNRWA, United Nations Relief. Yes, for refugees, just to spend time. I don't know what the future is planning for us, but I said, it's time to go there. And the teachers, they were the engine to support and to say to us, you must come to study, to learn. Education, it helps you to face all of these disasters, because we can't equalize between the one who knows and the one who doesn't. It's light and darkness. That's education. Education shows us the light and the way and to move forward. And that's why I went to these schools. And as a child, I dreamed. Dreamed because in life even, we see it. Someone can deprive you, can do something wrong to you, but no one can prevent you from dreaming.
And learning. So as you progress through the schools and and on to university, tell us about the environment first of all. You're here in these camps. You're struggling. Your family is struggling to do this. What was your understanding and and your feelings towards the state of Israel as a young man?
As a child, I was, as I said, living in war, fighting to survive and to see who made it for me, who brought me to this place, and what can I do to challenge of not accepting what is happening. And that's what opened my eyes about the situation as a child. As I said, you go to the school, the weekend is not a weekend. The weekend is to find a place where you can work. And to find work, the summer holiday is to work. Any kind of work, the dirty, black work, any kind of work, just to survive. And that's the question. What brought me to this situation?
And I must tell you that your book, I Shall Not Hate, it's a compelling and a tragic story. And I want to take some moments, but I must tell our audience that one of the blurbs, one of the many blurbs that you have is a quote from Elie Wiesel, the Nobel Peace Prize laureate, and he says, "This story, I Shall Not Hate, is a necessary lesson against hatred and revenge." Now, in your book, I Shall Not Hate, you tell the story, the tragic story of what happened to your family. And can you share that with us, sir?
It's not my story, it's everyone's story. It's a human story. Where in life we, as people in this world, we face tragedies. We face ups and downs. But how can we challenge ourselves, and what can we do to move beyond these tragedies we are facing, and to take responsibility and not to blame? Because all of the time we waste our time in blaming. Of course, when we face a tragedy, it's the responsibility of the perpetrator, but at the same time, it's the responsibility of the victim to move forward, not to accept to be a victim, not all of the time to stay there a prisoner of being a victim. We need to survive, to challenge, and to move forward, because the future is there, and the success is to challenge the perpetrator. And the tragedy I faced in my life, all of my life is a tragedy. All of my life is a war. But the difficult time was just in 4 months period when I lost my wife, 16th of September 2008, of acute leukemia. Then 16th of January 2009 is the day when the Israeli tank to shell my daughter's room, killing 3 daughters and 1 niece. The tragedy in that, they are my daughters who were part of me. And it's painful. The natural is the children to witness the loss of their parents. But the parents to see their children in front of their eyes killed, especially girls, which will be one day mothers, wives, educators,
Doctors.
girls who have big hearts, where in life we all are in debt to our mothers, to our sisters, to our wives, our grandmothers. The woman is the main pillar in the community. So these girls became parts, drowning in their blood. I started to look, where is Bisan? Who was my manager, my friend, more than being my daughter, from whom I learned, who was supposed to get her BA a few months later. She was 20 years old. Mayar, who was 15, who was #1 in math in Palestine, who planned to be a medical doctor, to follow my path, the human path. I had a beautiful girl who planned to be a journalist or a lawyer, to be the voice of the voiceless, to speak about the needs of people and to support them. My niece Noor, who was 17, planned to be a teacher. I wanted at least at that moment to see my daughters and my niece. I can't recognize them. Mayar was decapitated. Their beautiful faces and bodies spreading everywhere in their room, mixed with their books and educational materials. But once I saw that, I realized and I said, this tragedy is for good, because these holy and beautiful girls, they did nothing wrong in their life.
Nothing.
And there was no reason to be killed. They devoted their life to be focused, to achieve plans, and to fight for humanity. Bisan, at the age of 14, I sent to peace camps. Mayar was trying to make a difference in the community and everywhere, and to learn about others. That's why I said this tragedy is for good and must be invested for good. And from that moment, I am devoting my life for my holy girls and the holy message of spreading this message of not accepting what happened. I will never accept what happened with that tragedy and what is happening in this world, and to take responsibility, not to stay as a victim.
And it's such a tragic story, and I can still see that this tragedy is yours and personal, and you carry it with such dignity and such a conviction. But these tragedies happen on a daily basis around the world, in Gaza, and they continue to happen. Your message of hope, resilience, to be able to overcome these things is a deep and abiding message that you want the world to know. Tell us about your foundation that you've initiated for your daughters. Tell us about that, and why is that such an important factor in your life?
It's important when you come to speak about hope, and that's what, the blurb, which was written by President Jimmy Carter. In this book, Dr. Abuelaish has expressed a remarkable commitment to forgiveness and reconciliation that describes the foundation for a permanent peace in the Holy Land. When you speak about hope, hope is not a word. Hope, we need to have faith in it and to act. It's not to sit and to pray to God to change the situation. We need to move and to act to translate the hope into action. And when we speak about resilience, the people, it's not to adjust and to adapt, but to move forward and not to accept what is happening.
But Doctor, I must say, for most people, it would be easy to blame that tank and that nation for it. For most people, it would be so easy to perpetuate the hate and the anger and the distrust that kind of perpetuates throughout history. I would suggest to you that you have been able to transcend this.
But I'm not exceptional. Each of us, if we started to have the time to think in a wise way, we are blessed to be human, to differentiate between right and wrong. That's important. We need to feel angry about what is happening in the world. I felt angry when in the States the girls were shot and killed. I saw them as my daughters. I feel the anger about that because violence is endemic in this world. No part of this world is free from violence, and no one is asking why and what can we do. They are sitting there just to blame this guy who killed these girls. We need to ask why, what made him. It's the environment, it's the context in which the people are living. We need to change the environment and the context. That's why to take responsibility, not to stay there just blaming. It's an easy way to escape responsibility and to blame. So I will never, but we need to feel angry and outraged and to energize us, this anger, to energize us, what can we do to make a difference of not accepting what is happening, not to blame it. When you see something wrong in the street, you feel angry, to change it. And that's the anger we all need, we all the people in this world, to feel angry about what is happening, not with hatred, because hatred, there is difference between hatred and anger. Hatred is acute, it's a chronic disease. You will never be cured. As hypertension, it consumes you, wastes you. It's a fire. It burns you. It burns the one who hates, not the one who is hated. So instead of being wasted and consumed and being another victim with hatred, and the perpetrator will enjoy seeing you wasted. Instead of that, move forward, being strong, carry the pain, the wound, the scar, say, I will never accept it, and I will never allow hatred to invade or impact my mind, my health, mentally, physically, and socially. And that's the great success. But the anger is acute. Anger, we feel sometimes,
It's a
natural look at action. In a sudden, I feel angry. It's a wave, comes and goes.
But let me ask you this, Doctor, if I may. Do you feel, and in the light of recent events and that have happened, do you feel sometimes that you and your efforts and your vision and your dream, do you feel sometimes that you're trying to stop a tide or like a voice in the wilderness? Do you believe that your efforts are permeating into people, and especially young people, to say you must know there's another way? You must know that hatred and distrust is not the way and a path for you to choose.
Of course, there is an alternative. It's not the hatred. It's the wisdom and the kind words and good deeds. Words are stronger than bullets. The bullet kills once, but the word, and what are you using now, is to spread a message which impacts. It's stronger than bullets. And that's what is needed to spread and to work for. But in this world, one can do everything. But the idea starts by one. but we need people to follow and to come together to scale up and to carry this message, to translate it into action, and to ask, it's not for me, it's not my message, it's everyone's message, and it's our world.
And I would suggest to you, sir, it's the effect of like a stone in a pond. You know, the ripples go out. And your opportunity to be here in Sarasota, to speak to students, to speak to young people, to speak to a community, is one of those many ripples that you want to generate for generations to come. Tell me why it's important for you to be here to outreach to as many communities worldwide as possible.
It's a moral obligation and responsibility, because from the moment I saw my daughters killed, I said I have to make this a tragedy and to prove that it's for good and to spread that message. And the means are the wisdom, the kind words and good deeds. And that's why to send the prayers, blessings to my daughters. That's why I will never, it's not fun for me. I will never rest or relax. I want to, from here, from everywhere in the world, to send the prayers and blessings to my daughters and to encourage people. That's what is needed. When you speak about the size of the action, my daughter Bisan, at the age of 14, she said, for those people who underestimates their actions, everything starts small, then becomes big. Let us start with the small meeting. Yesterday, this meeting in Sarasota, it started by one person, Dan Boxer, when he contacted me. It's an idea. And the end was 700 people to come together to take that message and each of them to spread it everywhere. That's the impact, not to underestimate ourselves. That's why when you asked also about the Daughters for Life Foundation, about education of girls and women from the Middle East, in memory of my daughters, Daughters for Life, because I fully believe in the role of girls and women. We need to give them the potential, the role and the opportunity, girls and women, not to empower, to enable them, because they are empowered. They have the potential, but we need to enable and to get out the most of what do they have, and they are able to make a difference in this world. And the means to have that is education. The most efficient and effective mean to make a difference in any country is to invest in education of girls and women, education and health. And health is not the physical, even the political health, the societal health go side by side. We need to invest in that. It's not just to invest in military means. We need to invest in human means. And that's important. And to prove this tragedy is for good, and to keep my daughters alive, and would love one day to see girls who are our daughters, Daughters for Life from the Middle East, who are succeeding from hardship, from Palestine, from Jordan, from Israel, from Lebanon, from Syria, to see them in American universities. That's the world, that's the humanity to bring and to give, to share with others. And in that case, I can say to my daughters, when I meet them, you are alive and were kept alive, and your tragedy impacted others' lives. And that's the hope, to encourage others.
Dr. Abuelaish, I want to thank you for taking a few moments. You have created something here that will live on for generations to come. Your book, I Shall Not Hate, your message of hope, your message of peace, your message of success, that people can see through the hate, see through their anger for a better path. It is a wonderful legacy, not only for you, but for your family and for the loved ones that you've lost. I would ask you one last question, sir, and again, I do want to do a special thanks to Mr. Boxer for putting this together, because bringing an individual like you to have that message is so important to a community. Large or small, wherever it is, that message kind of resonates with people and gives them an idea and a vision of perhaps they didn't see before. When you speak and you go to your great turnout the other day and you have another event today to participate in, what is that one thing that you want your audiences to come away with? What is that key thing that you see them to inspire them?
In every bad thing, there is something good, and we can maximize the good of the bad. To have hope and to take responsibility through looking around and making a difference in this world. It's our world, and to ask, what world do we want for us and our children? It's our world, and if we didn't do it, no one else is going to do it. If it is not now, so when?
Dr. Abuelaish, thank you very much for taking the time. And we would welcome you to perhaps come back and do an extended program with some young people that, this is so inspiring and so deep and so moving that we would welcome you to come back at any time to further talk about not only your mission, but your vision and your dream ahead.
Thank you so much, and it would be my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.